So, you have decided to take the IELTS exam. Great choice. It is the test that opens doors around the world. Here we look at a bar chart. This is an IELTS academic writing task 1, which will come in the real exam. In task 1 of the academic IELTS writing exam, you might be given a line graph, a pay chart, a table, a diagram, or even a map. This is a sample IELTS academic writing task 1 question, taken from the book called The Cambridge IELTS Book 12. It was published by Official IELTS, and contains real past IELTS tests. So, it is sufficient for exam practice. Let's start by looking at the sample question. The bar chart below shows the percentage of Australian men and women in different age groups who did regular physical activity in 2010. Before you start writing, the first thing you need to do is to check whether it shows figures or percentages. You need different languages to talk about these things. If the chart shows figures, you'll need to talk about numbers, figures, amounts, and so on. If the chart shows the percentage, you'll need to talk about percentages and proportions. Secondly, check if the data relates to the past, the present, or the future. Here, the chart is from 2010. So, you'll need past verb forms. Thirdly, pay attention if the chart refers to a moment in time, or changes over time. You'll need different languages in each case. Here, the chart refers to a moment in time. This means you'll need to use the verb be a lot. And you won't use verbs like increase or change. At the start of your answer, you should write a short paragraph, 1 or 2 sentences, saying what the chart shows. For the first paragraph, you just need to restate the information in the instructions. But you should use paraphrase or different structures to avoid too much repetition. Look at how it would be written. The bar chart compares the percentage of people by gender and age group who did physical exercise in Australia in 2010. Here, I followed the sentence structure in the task, and just changed the words. But I put some words in a different order. The task says, Australian men and women, in different age groups. But, in the model answer, I switch the order of these words, as well as changing the words. Sometimes paraphrasing is enough. The task mentions physical activity. In the model answer, I paraphrase this to physical exercise. You don't need to change everything from the task. It's fine to copy and repeat small chunks of language. Also, there are some things you have to repeat. Here, there is no way to change in 2010. So, I kept it the same. That is the first paragraph. Next, you need the overview. Your goal in the overview is to take the most important points from the chart without going into detail. So, you need to find the most important points. But how? There is no general rules here, but here is a good starting point. Look for similarities and contrasts. In this question, you should look for similarities and contrasts within each age group and between the age groups. Look at the chart and try to find similarities and contrasts in the data. I'll give you a couple of seconds. So, for those of you who were able to find them, congratulations. And, for those of you who just want to follow, feel free. Here are some ideas for similarities and contrasts. The percentages for women, similarly, are higher than the percentages of men in all age groups, except the youngest one. So, the youngest group is different from the others. But the others are similar to each other. There is more than one way to find the similarities and contrasts. But one general idea is enough for the overview. Overall, there was a higher proportion of women than men doing physical activity in all age groups, except the youngest one. Like many things here, there is not just one way to write an overview. However, someone who reads your overview should have a general idea of what the chart will show. After your overview, you will write 1 or more paragraphs explaining the contents of the chart in more detail. Now, let's see the rest of the model answer. In detail, just over a half of male youngsters did fitness, keeping their bodies fit, while just under 50% of their counterparts did. This was the only generation in which the males' percentage exceeded that of females. Sometimes we can use estimate language when the numbers are close to around some. For example, we can say just over a half instead of 52.8%, or just under 50% instead of 47.4%. On contrary, amongst 25 to 34-year-olds, the men's percentage was not as high as for women, with 42.2% compared to 48.9%. Furthermore, among those aged 35 to 44, the gender gap was 13%, which is the highest difference. Here, I added another 2 points to the first idea, using the linking words on contrary and furthermore. Both of them are used to add information to a topic, and each has a specific meaning. For example, on contrary links to contrasting ideas, and the word furthermore is used to add a point which is more important than the first idea. In this case, I'm saying that the second point after furthermore is more important than the first point, because males were always physically active in the history. But in Australia, in 2010, there was a higher proportion of women than men doing physical activity. So, using linking words in your IELTS exam is necessary to get a higher score. But you need to use them in a right way. In the public version of Writing Task 1, Banned Descriptors, it is written that a candidate who uses an adequate range of vocabulary for the task gets 6 score for lexical resource. This is one of 4 criteria on which your writing will be evaluated. Here, I use the verb be in the present tense in the last sentence. It is highlighted in blue color. When we refer to the chart, we will use the present tense. When we refer to the event, we will describe it in the past. I also use the present tense in the introduction when I said the bar chart compares, because I'm talking about the bar chart now. But I used the past verb forms in the other cases. This pattern of gender participation in physical activities was similar for the other older middle-aged adults. However, in the elderly age group, exactly the same proportion of both genders improved their health doing regular exercises at around 47%. Why I didn't give details for the older middle-aged adults. If we look at the instructions, it says, summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features. So, the percentages for the older middle-aged adults are not the main features. There are some useful vocabulary to tell the age groups in a different way. Here, 152 words were written. Now, you give me a band score for my writing.